The Basement Dwellers podcast is brought to you by Player One Coffee.
At Player One Coffee, we're obsessed with gaming, coffee, and, well, gaming. Every one of our signature roasts is handcrafted and tasty as Get yours at playeronecoffee.com.
Plus, order your Player One Coffee through our affiliate link, and not only will you receive 5% off of your first order, you'll also help support our show in the process.
Press start to continue.
They are those who live in the shadows, who feed upon Doritos and Mountain Dew. They take comfort in their dark habitats as they watch reruns of sci-fi shows long past. They are the Basement Dwellers.
Show me what you got.
So say we all. So say we all. So say we all.
Indeed. Yes. This is a fertile land and we will thrive. We will rule over all this land and we will call it this land.
Make it so.
Join me. Together, we can rule the galaxy far from sun.
I want to believe.
We better get back, because it'll be dark soon, and they mostly come at night. Mostly.
Hey nerds, and welcome back to another episode of The Basement Dwellers, a bi-weekly podcast dedicated to all activities most enjoyed by those who spend their time in the deepest, darkest, and dankest of basements everywhere. I'm your host, Wes Tanner, and tonight is our final episode of Season 1. Woo! So, we're going to go ahead and do things a little bit different. We're going to start up with some nerdy news, as always. Then we will be spending the rest of the show talking about how we got our superpowers and why and how we ended up being interested in the things that we are interested in. I'm joined, as always, by my fellow basement dwellers, Ron, Lauren, Maybe, Ethan, Tracy, Drew, and Tucci. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Hi.
It is I, me, that guy I am.
That intro makes me just rock hard every time I hear it.
Oh my god.
That thing is so boomy on my headphones.
Oh, it is. Very bassy. It's very bass heavy.
Boom.
But you were not very bass heavy tonight, Drew. You were very 1940s radio man.
Ah, breaking news.
Yes.
I don't give a fuck. Now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Wow, that was actually pretty good.
That was pretty good. So first things first, we are saddened to learn that Nick's workplace scheduled him to work tonight. So I will be recording his origin story separately and kind of just pop it into the episode at some point. And well, I guess this next part that I have here is requires Lauren, but it was Lauren's birthday this past Sunday. Speaking of origins, yeah.
Happy birthday to
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I guess speaking of work, Ron, where are you right now?
I'm at work.
Where what do you do, Ron?
Right now, I stand in the corner and talk to you guys, hiding from customers.
Yeah.
Attaboy.
Don't look at me.
I guess periodically you're probably gonna drop out every once in a while, right?
Yeah, if you see it mute, that means I'm dealing with buttholes.
Mostly every 2 minutes during his, spiel.
During my origin.
Yeah.
Right back.
So I want you guys to know that, mute.
Yeah.
And then mute.
And then I started liking.
Yeah. Yeah. So anything new with you guys over this past couple of weeks? I mean, I don't know. This is our last show. We're kind of just winging it. So
Fucking
no.
Life has not changed at all for anybody.
We bottled our beer.
Yes, we did bottle our beer. That's right. That's going to be ready next week. So,
oh yes.
Yep. So I guess look forward to a tasting video. Right? We should do one of those.
Yes, where I can continue telling you how thick and viscous it is.
And mothery.
Come to daddy, mother. Mother, you're so viscous, baby.
Oh my god.
Now it's time to see what's up in the world of nerdy news.
First up in Ouch, my childhood news via comicbook.com. KB Toys is returning and wants to help Toys R Us employees. Why would they want to do that? Well, Toys R Us seems to be winding down its businesses in the U.S. after they recently announced that, barring any last-minute buyouts, they would be closing all locations, but it seems another toy store could be returning to take its place. Toys R Us closing down will affect around 33,000 jobs, but it seems some of those affected will be able to find employment at the returning of KB Toys. That's a blast from my past. Elia Kassoff, founder of Strategic Marks LLC, posted a message on LinkedIn that they are bringing back KB Toys and in a way that can survive the modern market. This is her quote. Many of you asked what our plans will be, and all we can say is we spent the last 6 months working on a sustainable model to bring back KB Toys the right way so it can compete not only with big box stores, but online as well. So that will be interesting to follow up because it seems like online stores are kicking the ass out of any brick and mortar store.
I'll say the only thing a brick and mortar store has over the internet is that you get it instantly.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only advantage.
You can touch it, feel it before you buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all I have to say to K&B is I like the enthusiasm, but good luck, Chuck, because I'm not too sure you're gonna do that great.
Yeah.
Like unless you're revolutionizing this shit, like I don't see it happening.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully those 6 months were well spent. Yeah. I'm more sad about Toys R Us leaving because my daughter is going to be turning 4 this year, and we planned on spending more money there at some point. So,
KB was always kind of a letdown compared to Toys R Us too.
Well, yeah, like KB was like the backup store. Like when you went to Toys R Us and they were like sold out of something, you're like, I guess I'll go to KB Toys. You know,
KB, and you're like, why is everything educational?
Yeah.
Well, KB was always like the mall toy store too.
Yep.
Yes.
It was in the mall, and it was full of bargain bins. Like, buy these discontinued action figures for a nickel.
Like Spencer's, right?
I said
this new G.I. Shen doll.
I said it before the show, but I'll say it again so everyone else can hear again. Drew, whatever you say tonight, it sounds infinitely better in the way that your voice sounds right now. So.
Actually, Drew, can you do the intro to Courage the Cowardly Dog for me?
If I knew it, I would, but...
Oh, no, you break my heart. I'm actually crying right now.
So,
well, you sound great when you cry, so cry more.
Music to mine ears. Next up, in more reboots news via Pink News, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is in line for a reboot, possibly. A Fox official, more Fox news, that's funny, hinted that the company is in talks about the future of cult 90s series that spanned over 6 years before ending in 2003. Or of the cult 90s series. There we go, sorry. Speaking at the INTV conference in Jerusalem, Fox TV Group Chair Gary Newman said that Buffy, quote, is probably the most ripe show we have for bringing back. Continue quote, it's something we talk about frequently, and Joss Whedon is really one of the greatest creators we have ever worked with, Newman said. However, he insisted that he was not announcing a definite comeback because he, quote, would not get out of the building alive if he did. So, you know, I think I've seen a couple episodes of Buffy, and I don't even know in what time frame that was as far as what season and whatnot. Did you guys watch the show at all, or just the movie?
I liked the movie. but I never got into the show.
The only thing I've seen of Buffy is like the comic books, where they continued it on after that. I know it's all through books.
So did it start as a movie and become a TV show, or the opposite?
The TV show, I think, was a reboot of the, or reimagining, I guess, of the movie.
Okay, so on to some what the fuck is taking so long news via Newsweek. This is kind of sad. Rick and Morty Season 4 still has not been ordered by Adult Swim. There has not been an update on the Rick and Morty Season 4 release for months. On Friday, Dan Harmon revealed why. There's been nothing to update for the new season. Rick and Morty hasn't been officially renewed. Season 4 hasn't even been ordered by the Cartoon Network / Adult Swim network. There we go. Previous seasons had an approximate 8-month turnaround for animation, and that's after the writing had been largely completed. That makes a 2018 premiere date for Rick and Morty Season 4 a virtual impossibility. Producer, writer, and voice actor Ryan Ridley echoed that assessment in January, telling the Detroit Cast, which is a podcast apparently, "I know how long the show takes to write, let alone animate, so I'd be surprised if there was a 4th season on the air any sooner than 2019. Late 2019. Without a Season 4 order from Adult Swim, it's possible the next season of Rick and Morty slips all the way to 2020, unless that season renewal comes soon."
Great, so they're going to become Archer or Venture Brothers.
Oh,
look, it's been 6 years between the last 2 seasons.
Still not as bad as Sherlock.
Well, yeah, but each episode of Sherlock is a fucking movie.
I know.
So.
You know what? I was just trying to throw in with the forever in between seasons, man. I was just trying.
Wait, you're talking about the Cumberpatch Sherlock, right?
Cumberpatch.
Yeah.
Slappy butt.
Yeah, Cumbersnatch.
Cumbersnatch, yeah. You didn't like that?
No, I love Benadryl Cumbersnatch.
Benadryl.
No, I was just trying to, throw in with the. It's like 4 years in between each season.
He was trying to complain with us, is what he was trying to do.
I was trying to be cool.
He was trying to fit in.
Breaking news! I fucked up.
So is it Venture Bros that only has 6 seasons after like being on air for what, 15 years? Is that
something like that?
Yeah, no, I think I read that earlier when I was looking this up, but
that sounds about right, as far between each season as there is.
Yeah, like I think it's Venture Brothers. I'm not sure, but I remember them saying something about like this, like the nature of the Cartoon Network and Adult Swim is like they're very like friendly to content creators, meaning they don't really push the show creators to pump out episodes. So I guess everyone takes their sweet ass time. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I know Dan Harmon and all the people who work on Rick and Morty, like they kind of just let it come as it comes. But the fact that it hasn't been ordered by the network yet, I mean, I don't know what's up with that. That just seems surprising.
We haven't ordered it. We haven't canceled it. You can't go to another network.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know.
Welcome to Limbo.
Unless they're like playing like a huge joke and they're gonna like say like, "Hey, like April Fools! Here comes the next season." I don't know.
Here's the whole season at once, all on April 1st.
Yeah.
Fuckers.
Gotcha, bitch.
Last up in cool tech news via Polygon. Ethan, you'll probably appreciate this. HTC announces a $799 price tag for the Vive? The Vive Pro headset. Current bundles will get a price drop. The HTC Vive virtual reality platform will now sell for only $499, a price reduction of $100 from its previous retail price of $599. That's math, okay. That in itself was a $200 price drop from its original $799 price point. My God, that seems like a bunch of like really obvious.
I almost still can't afford it.
So, yeah. HTC has also announced that the Vive Pro, with its increased resolution and second external camera, will begin shipping on April 5th of this year with a launch price of $800. This is a quote. The Vive Pro comes with dual OLED displays, making for a crisper image resolution of 2880 by 1600 combined. A 78% increase in resolution over the current Vive HMD, the company stated. In addition to visuals, Vive Pro also features integrated high-performance headphones with a built-in amplifier that creates a heightened sense of presence and sound through noise cancellation capabilities. These improved graphics and audio allow for users to experience VR with enhanced clarity, making it the most realistic and immersive VR experience on the market today. End quote. The Vive Pro will also be compatible with the new tracking stations that will allow up to 4 sensors to be connected in a VR space, offering a play area of up to 10 meters by 10 meters, a size that will likely only be attempted by location-based arcades and professionals using VR for high-level design or testing purposes. In fact, that is what the Vive Pro is marketed towards. It's aimed at the corporate and high-end enthusiast market, with the $800 price tag being for the headset only. Customers will still have to buy their own tracking stations and controllers if they're not upgrading the headset from an existing Vive system. The visual upgrades will make it much easier to handle design work in the system, as well as bringing the obvious improvements to gaming. However, you will need a pretty beefy rig to take advantage of everything the hardware can do. So, we'll see how that turns out. I still have not even tried any of the headsets yet, so... Ethan, what one do you guys have?
I only have the one that hooks up to your Samsung phone.
Oh, okay.
It's an Oculus, but it's the Samsung Gear VR, so it's not super great, but it's still kind of cool. I'm holding out for a PSVR, but...
Yeah. So... With that, we're going to go ahead and take our first commercial break, and when we get back, we're going to go ahead and just shoot the shit for a while and talk about where we came from, what we are into again, and all that business. So stay with us, and we will be back shortly.
Hey, you nerd. Have you subscribed to the show yet? Now you can find the Basement Dwellers podcast on the following platforms: iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, and SoundCloud. Also, make sure to like our Facebook page where you can stay up to date on all the things. And now, back to the show.
Look at that, Scotty Karate. It's saying, hey, drink me, motherfucker.
Okay. Well, I'm recording now, and everyone, we're back now. So, yeah, we're gonna... Still no sign of Lauren, so we'll see if she pops in at some point. But so what I did, just to kind of steer this conversation a little bit, as much as is humanly possible with this group, I did did send everyone some questions, just so they could be prepared. However, the ones I'm going to ask right now are not that, and they're more just to kind of get our brains working in the same direction.
Is this like a pop quiz, you dick?
No, not really. It's more just I don't know. You'll see. And,
fuckers.
Hey, Drew.
Yeah.
Drew, I need you to announce the numbers of the questions. So you start off with number 1, please.
Question number 1.
Thank you. If you could pick one superpower, what would it be, and why?
Well, shit.
My.
Yeah.
This is
okay. I'll go.
That's a loaded question.
Loaded. What? Okay, go ahead.
I'll go.
Go ahead, Drew.
I got mine.
Yep.
I would pick a healing factor.
Like Wolverine or?
Like Wolverine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Or okay.
Or even Deadpool. I don't care. Like.
You just
it's very self-serving for me because you get a healing factor and it's going to cure like all my diseases I have, like all my medical problems.
What are they?
Yeah.
I have, spoiler alert, I don't know if you've noticed over the last like 11 episodes, but I have the Beatus.
The Beatus.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, something like that. Very self-serving and kind of maybe lame, but I think I would take like a healing factor.
Okay.
Or if we're gonna go, or if we're gonna go over like more like thing, like I would want Wolverine powers, where I would have like adamantium claws and shit.
No.
Right.
Your superpower you want is a working pancreas.
It really is. You can all keep on
Oh
yourselves.
man, that's sad, and I feel bad for laughing.
It's been 25 years since I've had a working pancreas. A quarter fucking century.
Oh man.
Breaking news! I have issues.
Oh man, way to lead off the section on a low note, man.
How is that a low note?
It's just
That would make me so happy. Like, you have no idea.
No, I know.
Like, go out to a restaurant and not have to be like, oh, don't mind me shooting myself up right now. I promise it's not heroin.
Spoiler alert, it was heroin.
Black tar.
Oh, God. All right, someone else.
I would go with invisibility because I can do no good with that. I would be a horrible, horrible fucker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if there's a superpower you could give me that I would be like, I'm going to go out and save the world.
How can I not exploit this?
So you're just saying you're going to be the villain. Twirly mustache and all, huh?
It's possible. I mean, there might be the occasional injustice where I'm like, oh, no, sir, you're a dick. Plink, and, knock him across the universe. But there's so much other fun shit to do. I don't want to dedicate my whole life to that.
You are chaotic neutral, sir.
Yeah.
I was going to go for lawful evil, but chaotic neutral works.
Lawful. Yeah. I would say.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Chaotic neutral is usually what I play anyway, so.
Yeah. Tracy, what about you?
I would probably go for teleportation powers.
Ooh.
Because I really, I hate riding in the car. Plus, I could rob banks and shit.
Yeah.
See, she's my part. Can you not tell we're together?
Yeah.
Teleportation and invisibility. We own the fucking planet.
But I would probably give that money to poor people and shit. So, well, I mean, not all of it. I gotta
Speaking
have
of teleportation, there went Ron.
Well, shit. Okay. Well, all right. The night goes on.
I rob from the slightly well-off and give to the moderately impoverished.
There we go.
Hey, I'm moderately impoverished.
Tucci, what about you, man?
Manipulation of time.
Oh.
You want to be a time lord?
Yes.
Oh, damn it. No, I want that one. Can I?
No, too late. Too late.
You're teleporting. Ethan's invisible. I have a working pancreas. Ethan and Tucci's the time lord.
Drew, that's so fucking sad.
Back to the past?
I have a question about that later, so we'll save the. What do you mean by manipulate time, Tucci? Like Doctor Strange type shit?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like time and space. I want to be the controller of the very fabric of reality.
What would you do?
So all of time and space, not just yours.
Exactly.
That's too much power for one Tucci.
No, that is so. I would do so much good and so much wrong with that. Okay, but yeah, time manipulation. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right.
If
his superhero name is Eric the Time Buddy.
If not time manipulation mixed with the fabric of reality, which would have to do with matter, then just time. Time is fine. I'll settle for time.
I'll settle to be able to manipulate time and space. Yeah.
All of time.
Ron, I noticed you're back. Did you hear the question?
Stop! It's Tucci time.
I would like the ability to get a phone that works.
Well,
that's almost the saddest wanting a working pancreas.
That's achievable.
I think for me, I'd like telekinesis or telepathy.
Okay. So you can do your job by not actually moving.
Yes, I could be standing here talking to you guys and make nachos at the same time.
Hell yeah!
And I'll have the nachos all ready because I can read minds and I'll know what these assholes want.
Oh shit! It's better and better.
That would be pretty great. I like it.
And the greatest part is that he just assumes he's still working at the nacho place. Telekinesis, but I'm gonna make fucking nachos.
Ethan and Tracy are robbing banks, and Ron's like, I'm making nachos.
Actually, you know what, Tracy? You know what? I think we both could be Time Lords, because then there's some pretty intense shit we'd probably be able to pull off. Like you have one Time Lord, sure, but what if you had two? Possibilities.
Well, then you end up with Doctor Who and the Master, and shit goes weird.
It gets real.
And Tracy's the Master.
Hell yeah.
Oh, fuck.
All right, Drew, I need the next number announced, please.
Question 2.
Brilliant. Which
brilliant, simply brilliant.
Brilliant.
Which fictional world would you love to live in, and why? Like fantasy, sci-fi, video game. Which fictional world would you love to live in?
Ooh.
Oh yeah. Oh.
Okay, I'll go.
Mm-hmm.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that would be mine.
Just because hobbits.
What a
and
basic
elves.
bitch.
Ron's into hairy feet.
Oh, I never said a superpower. God damn it. I don't even know.
Yeah, what the
Question
fuck?
1.
Back to question 1. I forgot all about mine. I don't even know.
Question 1 reboot.
I wasn't even
Question 1.
I wasn't even thinking
Pick
about
a
it.
superpower.
I'd want to like be able to fly or levitate. I think that would like, you know, I don't need to have any of the other stuff, but being able to just fly around would be cool. Okay, so anyway, on to question number 2. We got Lord of the Rings. That was going to be mine too, so I'll think of a different one here. Anyone else have an idea?
I'd like to go with something like Shadowrun or Ready Player One, anything cyberpunky.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I want like future tech. Give me all the future tech. Gimme.
But that could also be Star Trek or The Expanse or any cyberpunk one for me.
I don't know if I'd want to live in the Expanse universe. That seems pretty...
That might be a bit scary.
Yeah, it seems pretty...
Oh yeah, that's like the
bleak and
like the Mad
depressing.
Max of space and shit.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, as much as I love Battlestar Galactica, I wouldn't want to live there either.
For about 2 minutes.
Yeah. They're like, no,
Like,
everybody
Wasteland,
suffers.
wait, no. I don't want to eat Dinky D.
Yeah.
Witness him.
Witness. Oh God, Tucci, what about you?
Fuck, man. I don't know.
Halloween Town.
Yeah, probably. I mean, imagine what I could do in Halloween Town if I had my
As a
powers.
Time Lord.
As a
Time Lord.
Shit, man. Fuck, I really don't know. All of them are pretty fucking sad, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
He's gonna go with Pornhub.
Red
Is that
two.
a world?
Is that a reality?
Porn world.
You could just be able to walk
there
through
now.
each video. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, you could live there now.
He just walks in, he goes, oh, look at that, she's sucking a dick. And then
High five there, you know. Shit. Fuck, man. I really don't know right now. You're gonna have to give me a minute. to
Okay,
figure this
no
out.
worries. We'll if you think of it, like just interrupt somebody.
Yell it out.
Yeah. Drew, did you say one yet? Did I miss that?
Oh God, Westworld!
Oh,
that's what I was gonna say.
Oh,
Son of a
yep.
bitch.
No.
Fucking,
Really?
it's awesome. Yeah, I really was. I really was gonna say like Westworld.
Didn't mean to steal your thunder, brother.
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's okay. Well, because for a minute I was thinking like the MCU, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, there's always bad shit happening.
Uh-huh.
And sure, the good guys save
Yes.
the day, but there's so much fucking destruction. Like, you would be living in constant terror. Like,
Yeah,
So-
especially if you were just you.
exactly. Like, I'm just me. Like, I mean, go fuck yourself. That sounded kind of mean, but you know, yeah.
No, I'm just saying,
person.
if any of us were just us and we were picking a place to live, I wouldn't want one with wanton destruction.
With no
when
superpowers.
Those 6 superheroes are over there going, "We're saving the Earth, but I'm going to drop this building on you to do it."
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
thanks,
saving
buddy.
the Earth, but we destroyed New York.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I think Westworld would be pretty cool because, I mean, it's not only Westworld. You get like Westworld and World and Future World and all that bullshit. But I mean, like, you know, you can go.
I mean, right up till the end of the show, anyways.
Well, yeah, until you have to fight Yul Brynner and he shoots, and then you gotta dump acid on his head. You gotta dump acid on his head to make him die. But yeah, you know, it'd be pretty cool.
Good times.
Like you can go play cowboys and Indians, and then you go back and live your normal life, or you go to ancient Rome and bone around, and then go back to your normal life.
That was gonna be my question, whether or not you would want to go consciously knowing that you're in a simulation or a simulated world as opposed to being fully immersed. So you just answered that. So
I mean, yeah, it'd be cool. I think it'd be cool that you can go in and go, like, you go to Westworld and you know, I'm gonna be safe. I can do like whatever. So like, I want to go play John Wayne and beat the bad guy, not lose.
Because I know damn well them guns ain't gonna hurt me.
Exactly. That light gun not gonna hurt me. And then go back to my normal, boring 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. job.
Tucci, do you think of one yet?
Yeah, but there's a stipulation.
Okay, go for
it.
So
Changing
only if
the
I
rules.
get to have my powers, I would go to the Harry Potter universe.
Oh shit!
I
knew it!
If I didn't have my powers, I would choose the Pokemon universe.
Okay, that's
Okay, that one I wouldn't have guessed.
I like that one.
But I literally almost blurted out Harry Potter too.
That's
sorry.
actually what I was gonna say. But with the stipulation of I wouldn't want to be a muggle because then it would just be like walking around London, which I can do now.
Right.
Yeah, who wants to be a bitch, right?
Well, okay, if this changes anybody's opinion here, real quick, like if these worlds that you're in, like you would, if you know, if it's the Harry Potter universe, you would be like going to Hogwarts, or if it was,
oh hell yeah,
yeah, like.
You would be actually part of that.
You would be part of it.
Muggles are terrible.
Is that racism? Was that considered?
That is kind of racist, yeah. It's a little elitist there.
That's
It's more speciest, but I mean, we eat pigs and cows and shit anyway, so.
Oh, that's because they're delicious. Also, we don't eat shit.
Who said humans are delicious?
We eat pigs and cows, but not shit.
Yeah,
murder is tasty. Murder is delicious.
Man, it's gonna be fun not editing this later. Oh god.
Congratulations, listeners. Now you know how we really.
Yeah. Pulling back the curtain a little bit.
Bunch of racist murder hobos.
I'm not racist.
Not racist.
Except for Tucci, because he's woke.
He's woke.
Speciest murder hobos.
Yeah.
I'm so woke, I'm anti-asleep.
Anti-sleep. Anti-sleep.
Oh god.
I tried so hard to make it work, and then just kind of petered out at the end.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm
shit.
anti-sleep.
Yeah.
Using the insulin. Fuck you.
Okay.
Moving on.
Well, yeah, you know, I think I would do like a video game universe, since we're talking about like being part of the
like
reason.
Wreck-It Ralph?
No, not that. Not like that.
That'd be cool.
I think
Poor
that
group with Satan and shit.
it'd be so boring. That's like
Final Fantasy would be fun.
Final Fantasy would be fun. Yeah, I'm thinking like the Witcher, like the Witcher universe. I don't know. I'm obsessed with that. Oh, you know what? Monster Hunter. There it is. That's what I would go. You know, like if I were able to be a Monster Hunter in the Monster Hunter universe, that's what I would do. I think that
Really?
yeah, that'd be fun.
That sounds like a lot of death.
It would
Sounds
be
like a lot of
for you.
but hopefully, yeah, hopefully it would be not me. Like,
But when I die, I could just start my game over.
I was gonna say,
Exactly.
so in the video game world, do you have the unlimited life thing, or like,
You know,
done.
The question that I originally typed up did not go that in depth, so I'm gonna say yes. Like wherever world you go
I'm going
to.
to Fallout 4, and I'm toggling God mode.
I'll say, okay, I'm gonna go to Skyrim and use all the cheats.
Well, you don't
toggle God mode.
You don't use the fucking cheats. Drew, give us the next number, dude.
Question 3.
If given the chance and you could only do one or the other, including returning, would you travel to the past or the future, and why?
I'm a Time Lord. Doesn't fucking matter, bitch.
Nope. These are non-compounding questions.
The slate is now clean.
Yeah, clean slate.
Did you say and you could return?
Yeah, you would have it'd be a return trip, but you can only do one or the other. Which would you choose? Like you could repeat it.
Forward. I know what's in the past. I want to see what's in the future.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd do forward.
See, I would go backwards. I've got a lot of shit to fix.
So you would go back specifically to change the course of events.
Oh, absolutely.
And the world as we know it was then destroyed.
Tracy sneezes in the past, and all of a sudden we're all like reptilians or something.
Dogs become able to talk or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I would
That would
owe
be
a lot
funny.
of people. I would owe a lot of people some apologies. Sorry.
That would be great to do a travel to the past, but when you interrupt something, instead of all these terrible things happen, like stupid shit like dogs can now talk is what actually happens. Just weird shit.
Oh my god.
So instead of the Nazis win World War II and you get Man in the High Castle, you get, hey, my dog can tell me it has to go out and poop.
We are very focused on dogs talking right now. That's what Tracy would do. She would go back in the past to ensure that animals
become sentient.
Yeah, so that my cat can like literally look at me and go, "Listen here, bitch."
All cats can just look at everyone and just go, "Fuck you."
However, you've just changed the entire course of, us thinking murder is tasty, because now it's like my cow is going to be pissed and yell at me when I try to make it into a hamburger.
Oh god, we'd all have to be like vegetarians or really terrible people.
I'd just be a terrible person.
It's like you're gonna go in and get the chicken eggs, and it's gonna be like, hey, what are you doing with my baby? And you have to be like, have you ever tried your baby scrambled? Because it's delicious.
Oh my god.
I'm gonna go put them in the incubator in my kitchen.
Some rotten cow tit, yeah.
I'm taking this chick to a nice farm upstate. Wait a minute.
Hey, where are we going? We're gonna turn you into nuggets, buddy.
Hey, what are you doing with my udders? Hey, hey. Good job, Les. See what you've done?
Yeah, well, that's what these questions were kind of meant to do.
I like that this question went for, would you go back in time or forward in time to, hey, I'm jacking off a cow.
Yeah.
I'm really glad I came in just then.
Yeah. Oh God. Ron, did you?
Context. I don't even know it.
Okay.
I don't want to know the question.
We're still in the middle of it, though.
We still need to know your answer. Ron, if given the chance and you could only do one or the other, and this includes being able to return to the present, would you travel to the past or the future, and why?
Oh.
Yeah. Somehow that whole conversation. He's like, how the fuck?
Jerking off a cow.
Yeah. He's like, how the fuck did that question turn into that?
I think I would probably go back in time just because I like that whole Victorian era. Like Ethan's got the steampunk or the cyberpunk thing. I like the steampunk type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I would love to meet Jules Verne.
So you would actually just want to go back and live, like just experience it.
Yes.
you wouldn't want to go back and try and change the course of history to where you would travel back and find out that dogs can talk.
Well, I mean, now.
Now.
Now I do. Shit.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was an option. I thought I was just going back in time for no reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'd murder Hitler as a baby.
Oh, Jesus. Hold on a sec, guys. All right, had a little bit of a technical difficulty just a couple times there, actually. Tucci, you were about to tell us about something.
Yeah, okay. Am I recording now?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So what? Someone brought up the idea of going back in history and killing a pretty terrible person, right? So like Hitler, for instance, everyone can agree that Hitler wasn't a good guy. So going back into history and taking him out of the equation saves potentially millions of people, right? So I brought up the idea of the trolley problem. And the trolley problem basically exists as like a psychological thing to kind of test a person's wits on where they think morality lies, more or less. So it kind of does get a little bit political depending on your definition of political.
I was gonna say, I think you're getting complicated. You're getting
I am. I'm going really deep.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right.
So more or less.
This is a nerdy podcast.
Yep. Let's go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So the trolley problem basically is you have two tracks, right? You have a trolley on a track, and you have that track splits into a Y.
Wait, are you saying trolley? Like trolley, like as in like the thing you ride on?
Yeah, trolley. TROLLY.
I swear to God, I heard you say Charlie, and I was like,
I also heard Charlie.
Okay,
all right,
here. I'll fix it. The train problem.
There we go.
So the train problem. So basically, you have a railroad, right? That ends up splitting off into a Y.
Okay.
And you more or less have to decide, right? So you have on the first track, okay, track one, you have a group of people, all right, and they're all tied to the train tracks, okay. And so if you don't pull the lever, all of those people die. Let's say it's 5. Let's put an actual number on it. 5 people will die if you don't pull this lever. But if you do pull the lever, the train will go on to the other track, but there's only one person tied up. So it's kind of like, do you sacrifice the one to save the many? Or do you not do anything because you feel like you would then be murdering somebody?
Well, in this case, I'm killing Hitler, so yes.
Well, of course.
In this case, it would be
but
we
it
kill
kind of,
one and save 6 million. So
right. Well, it's way more than 6 million. But
okay, I was just going. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, racist. But only thinking of the Jews. So that's kind of the idea. It's like you kind of just boil it down. It's like if you just present the trolley problem without any additional context, it kind of becomes like a morality debate. But then if you put the one person as Hitler on the other track, if you pull the lever, it seems to be a pretty clear choice.
You know, that reminds me of the actual moral dilemma that they were trying to solve with smart cars, as far as like, or self-driving cars, sorry, to where like the example was that you have your family in the car with you, and if you the car has to, you turn a corner, and then there's a group of like cyclists, like regular pedestrians, yep. And does the car then like turn away from the pedestrians and potentially like send your car flying off a cliffside to save the pedestrians but killing your family, or does it kill the pedestrians and save your family? You know what I mean? Like it's kind of a worst
really
case scenario,
to
but
kind of
but
it's a real scenario,
and they have to they would have to program
the car,
that,
hit the pedestrians, and kill everybody. And you have to feel guilty about anything.
Then it's a win-win.
It's the car just self-destructs in the middle of all of them.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Because we all know one of those cyclists was Hitler.
Yeah.
My 6-year-old child could be Hitler.
Yeah. Oh
We don't
my
know.
God.
I'm pretty sure there's an article like that out there.
That sounds
yeah.
like an old-timey news program. Is your child the next Hitler?
411.
Oh fuck. All right. Anybody have anything to add to that one, or any points they want to make to the time travel one? Because we're about to take another break.
Going to the future.
Mm-hmm. I would go to the future too, because if we could return back, I would use it to mine and my family's and possibly my friends' advantage. So
go get that.
Wouldn't come back with any particular information or anything.
Yeah.
So Wes, question.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you go into the future and then come back with knowledge from the future that you gained to use as you will, is that any different from going back in time and changing things? Because literally you are going to be doing that.
Because you'd be,
so you're changing the future you just went to.
You'd be going.
So what if whatever you brought back never happened?
Well, yeah,
you're fucking shit up too, son.
Yep.
It's the damn Charlie effect.
Charlie.
God damn it, Charlie. I bet you Charlie killed Marvek.
Yeah. Fucking. Poor Marvek. No, that's actually a good point, Ethan. Because if you travel to the future and you come back. From the future standpoint, you're going back in time to change.
I mean, I guess
what
would you care, because you're just leaving that future anyways, so you're never going to see it again. Fuck those guys.
Fuck you, buddy.
That is very true.
Whereas if you go into the past and then you come back to the future, you have to deal with that.
Yep.
So, yeah, fuck it.
Okay, and with that, while I contemplate that, we're gonna take another commercial break, and when we get back, I'm gonna actually ask these guys what the hell got them to. Why the fuck are they so nerdy? So stick with us, and we'll be back again.
Do you like role-playing games? How about podcasts? How about a podcast about a role-playing game? Check out our friends at Tomorrow's End, a podcast that follows a role-playing group as they navigate through a post-apocalyptic wasteland. Alright, enough fucking words. Here's the trailer.
How did humanity get here? I just can't remember. The rest of the world didn't know why the end had come. They'd heard on the radio about an attack on the states by either Russia or China over dwindling resources. What we knew was that the world was going to end, and a crazy man named Morrow had a plan to save the world. Many teams were frozen in vaults deep underground, safely tucked away from all the bombs and nukes flying, and the asteroid that would finally end everything. They were supposed to wake up 25 years later and help pick up the pieces, but something went wrong. And everyone woke up a lot later, if they woke up at all. Cultists, criminals, madmen, they've been living and thriving through the radiation and destruction the entire time. Some good people also survived. They held on to hope by spreading stories about tomorrow's end.
And we're back, and unfortunately Ron is working right now, so he's gonna have to rapid fire go through some of these questions here, because it'd be a shame to have him sit through all the previous bullshit and not get to talk about the main reason why we're here. So Ron, to get right into it, what was it about nerd or geek culture that drew you to it?
I can't pinpoint an actual thing that drew me to it. It's just something that I've always enjoyed. The whole sci-fi fantasy world. It was, I mean, I don't want to become a bummer, but for those of you who know Nick and I, our family life growing up wasn't so great. So like being able to escape into that different world of fantasy and sci-fi, maybe that is what drew me into it. It was just the escape.
I think it's that way for a lot of people too. But yeah, I hear you. Anything specifically about that? Like what was the? Do you remember like what the first thing was that?
Oh God,
kind of led you down the path of evil.
It was elementary school. As right before we moved back to Michigan, and our class was reading The Hobbit, and that's
nice.
That's what did it to me. Damn Tolkien, he got me.
All right. So next question: do you think you are more or less nerdy now than you were growing up?
Oh, I'm way more nerdy now. One, being able to hang out with people like you guys who share the same interests, it definitely makes me feel, I don't know, I guess better about my interests, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you guys know that when I got out of high school, I went straight into the military, so there's not a lot of nerd culture in the military.
I can't imagine so.
And there are nerds, don't get me wrong, but they're in small supply.
Small supply of nerds. Okay. So, all right, next question. Are there any nerdy interests that you have? Wait, hold on. Why the fuck did I write this? Oh, is there any nerdy interest of yours that you are no longer interested in? That you once were. Sorry.
Any nerdy interest you are no longer interested in that you once were?
Yeah, like what were you into before?
You're ask me?
Yeah, what were you into before that you're not now? nerdy wise.
Honestly, I don't think it's that I'm not into it. It's just something I haven't done in a long time, and that's like comic book collecting.
Okay.
I used to collect like a friggin' fiend years and years ago, but I haven't in a long time. I still read them, but most of it's like stuff that I borrow from people. So I mean, it's none of mine.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yeah, comic book collecting is something. It's not that I'm not interested in. It's just something I haven't done forever.
I gotcha. Well, that actually leads into the next question. Well, I kind of, yeah. Do you have any unexplored nerdy interests, like, well, something you've always wanted to do, but just haven't had the opportunity for whatever reason? And what's stopping you from pursuing that, if anything?
Actually, I do have two things. One would be Magic, Magic the Gathering. Nick,
I was going to say Magic. I was like, that'd be an awesome.
Alex, no, Nick started teaching me how to play it, and then it just I never took off. It never developed into anything, and I would definitely like to start collecting the cards. And
I play, yo.
Sweet. Well, there we go.
Yeah,
so that's something that
I tried.
No reason for that to hold me back.
I tried it, and I just can't get it though. But yeah, go ahead.
Another one would be like actual LARPing. I know you and I have
Mm-hmm.
dabbled a little bit, and I know Ethan has introduced me to a few people with the SCA. It's something I want to get into, but it's more like time and money constraints right now.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, that's definitely for my answer.
Something I want to explore, just can't because of money and time.
Yeah, I gotcha. That's I'm going to be answering that one too. We're along the same lines.
Don't let them hear you call it a LARP.
Well,
no.
He's talking.
I said LARP
I know,
and then changed.
Yeah,
talked about the different things.
Oh yeah, the SCA guys and even some of the other groups that use like the foam weaponry don't want to be associated with LARP, but LARP, yeah, nerdy. Live action role playing, and I actually know a few people who do actual LARP that I'm going to be trying to get on the show for next season. So hopefully we'll get a chance to.
LARPing is hella cool.
To talk about that, yeah. So okay, last question, man, and I'll let you get back to your job. What was your favorite episode of this past season? Both from a listening standpoint or a participation standpoint.
Yeah, I actually do have two episodes that I liked a lot, and from a listening standpoint, I know I participated a little bit on it, but it was the When the Morrow Project guys were on.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking had so much fun with that one.
Yeah.
And then from a participation standpoint, it was the one where it was, I think, only you, Lauren and myself, and we did the verses, the live one. It was the live stream.
Oh yeah, on Facebook. Yep.
Okay. Those were my two favorites, I think. Not just because I was on it, but no, because it was just a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, it's about what you had fun with, man. Yeah. Okay. All right, man. Well, we'll let you get back to your job so you don't get in trouble. So, love you, dude. Have a good night, man.
It was fun, and I'm sorry I couldn't stay around longer.
That's all right. We got your words. We're good, man.
No problem,
All right.
you fucking dick.
All right, man. Have a good night. We'll see ya.
Bye.
Okay, let me.
Asshole.
Prick.
I'm keeping that in there. All right, we're gonna go ahead and move on to Ethan. I know you got a lot of nerd history here, so yeah, we'll get you out of the way. So first question, same as Ron's. What was it about nerd or geek culture that drew you to it?
I almost feel like it was just a natural progression sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I started when I was terribly young. I mean, I had one of the original first gen console games. As I was growing up, I acquired Star Wars toys back in the 70s and 80s when they were big. Move along another handful of years, I had a Commodore 64. It just bounced along. I mean, when you're young, Superman, Christopher Reeves, that was a big thing. That was everybody loved, but kind of drives you towards the nerdy end.
Yeah, I was gonna say when it comes to like superheroes, like that's a good. I feel like people either grow out of that or develop other interests from that point on, because especially with, and this may be overgeneralizing a bit, but especially with boys or males, like
right.
we got the superhero thing at a really young age, and you either stick with that or you branch off and end up thinking that superheroes are dumb. So yeah, I hear you.
And I mean, it probably didn't help that I don't know if my dad knew what being geeky or nerdy was, but there's a lot of stuff that he threw at me at a young age that didn't help. Like I was watching Monty Python when I was 10, and so there's a lot of stuff from my youth that just kind of evolved as I grew older. And
mm-hmm.
my cousin getting me into D&D when I was 7 years old, the original AD&D basic set.
Yeah.
And you grow to love these things, and when you were never really good at athletics or fitting in general,
yeah,
you found the other stuff to do, and that's where you end up.
I gotcha. Do you think it's kind of, this is not one of the written questions, but do you think it's kind of, you brought up not fitting in. Do you think that is almost a defining factor of being nerdy?
Being, do you think, like an outsider, you're saying?
Yeah.
Like, because you see a lot of geeks and nerds that didn't have a lot of friends when they were young or had strange friends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see it, especially back from more our time. Nowadays, it seems to have gotten popular to be a nerd, so you don't necessarily have to have that background. But yeah, I would. Originally, I would say that was a lot of a catalyst for it, for sure.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'll answer my questions later, but this is not part of them really. But, I didn't really have just one group of people that I got along with. I mean, I wasn't necessarily popular, even though I was, homecoming king or prince or something. I was one of those. Like, the class voted me for that. So, like, I don't know. I didn't have I had the interests that I kind of kept to myself because I was, like, afraid that I would become an outcast if people knew about them. But But for the most part, like, I don't know, I didn't really have that whole experience. So yeah, I just wanted to ask that.
Yeah, I tried some of the more popular things. Like I tried going out and doing football, and
yeah,
you try to be more popular than you are, but then you just sort of slink back to where you were. And
I played soccer.
There's your shiny D20 sitting there waiting for you.
Not judging you and whatnot.
Soccer. That's a nerdy sport.
Soccer, you lawn fairy.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see here. Do you think you are more or less nerdy than you were growing up? This is a good one for you. You had a lot of time growing up.
I feel like my nerdiness waxes and wanes sometimes, because there are times where I get into other things that may not be so nerdy, or I get excruciatingly lazy or unmotivated, and I don't get it. But I mean, I still play D&D. I still watch anime. I still read comic books if I could afford them. So, and I've exponentially been able to explore more nerd culture, especially with the advent of the internet and finding a bigger variety of nerds to hang out with rather than just, me.
Yeah.
Because I live in the country and there's not a lot of nerds out here. So.
Okay. This is the one that I had a hard time saying to Ron, or asking Ron. Is there any nerdy interest?
Is there something
yeah, exactly. I mean, I should reword this.
Something that I used to be into that was nerdy that I'm no longer into.
Yeah, there we go.
Really, I don't think I've stopped doing any nerdy stuff. I'm been a computer geek since the 90s-ish. I mean, taking away from the fact that I used to have a Commodore and all that crap, but I got heavy into it in the 90s, and it's one of the things that I still dabble in a lot, but have gotten kind of burned out on it.
Yeah.
Like I don't always enjoy doing it as much as I used to. It's more of just, I have a computer. It's a thing I use more than, ooh, let's tear this one apart. See if we can overclock it. Let's do this. Let's put Linux on a toaster. I don't do a lot of that as I used to.
Do you think that has to do with the rate that technology gets better? Like the rate that new chips and graphics cards and computer components come out?
I mean, that's more of a monetary thing that I can't keep up. And I haven't really bothered to keep up mentally with all the stuff that's coming out because I can't keep up with it monetarily.
Yeah.
A lot of it just, I think, has been because I decided to do that for a living.
Yeah.
And you just start getting burned out on it when you do so much of it. It's more frustrating than it is fun anymore.
I gotcha. Nothing's no hobby is fun as soon as it becomes work, which is why we are so lazy with doing this podcast. Yeah. Okay, next question. Do you have any unexplored nerdy interests, and what's stopping you from exploring that, if anything?
Man, I really can't think of any off the top of my head.
You've done it all.
I mean,
doing it all currently.
I mean, I've never been to a Star Trek convention. I don't know if that's really...
Do you go to conventions? Or, I mean, I'm sure you have been, but is that something you do normally?
I've been to comic book conventions. I've never been to a Star Trek convention. I don't really know what other geeky conventions there are. I guess Dragon Con.
Well, they have Stargate too, and
oh, of course they do.
Yeah. I don't know. Even there's BlizzCon. There's all the video game ones.
I mean, I've always wanted to go to Dragon Con. I think that would be freaking awesome, or Gen Con. Gen Con's the one I'm thinking of. The big role-playing game convention.
Have you been to JFAX, the anime convention? Close to us?
Oh, no. Nope, have not been to that.
Me either. I think that's probably my best chance for going to a convention. But
yeah, I can't. I mean, unless something new and exciting comes out. I mean, I've jumped onto 3D printing. I've apparently jumped onto cryptocurrency. I'll get into VR more. I mean, I've been into VR since the 90s, so yeah, I don't know, man.
Okay. Well, last question here. What was your favorite episode of season 1? Both from a listening standpoint and or participation.
Well, I'm gonna play butt kisser, and I'm gonna play complete asshole here because I'm gonna say pretty much all of them that I've been on have been my favorite to participate in.
Yeah.
Because you guys are fucking hilarious and they're just always so much fun.
I agree.
So, all of them. I can't pick one.
Okay.
My favorite one to listen to. Well,
you don't listen to us, do you?
2/3 of the way through the first episode. No, I haven't listened to any of them except the first one.
Oh man, you're like the actor who like doesn't watch any of his own movies.
Yeah. I mean, I lived them, man. All I would catch is the editing.
But well, yeah.
I've never been able to listen to podcasts. I have it's like talk radio to me. I have a hard time doing it.
Yeah, I hear you.
Because a lot of the times I could be listening to a podcast is usually when I'm either listening to music or reading and doing other things. And if I'm doing other things, I can't focus on the conversation.
I can't imagine trying to read while you're listening to anything with words.
But yeah. So I've tried to listen to other people's podcasts and I just can't keep up.
I hear you, man.
So sorry, man. They all downloaded my phone. I just never listened to them.
Maybe someday we all take a road trip and we force you to listen to us.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right then. Let's see here. Tracy, let's go to you next. You ready for this?
Yeah, Tracy. Let's go to you.
All right. You know what? And I feel kind of embarrassed about this, but we never even gave you an intro before when you first came on the show. You were like,
shit.
I think Ethan asked you a question, and then during the break, I was like, Ethan, tell Tracy to come on into the show, and then you did.
Yeah, she was just like in the background. I'm like, hey, baby, what's this thing?
Yeah, I think you were asking her about what was it?
She just appeared.
Oh, it was the Sean. It was Sean Bean. Yeah, you asked her if he was in Tomb Raider or if he died in Tomb Raider, and she's like, he was in Tomb Raider. Yeah. Okay, so
boom, on the show she was.
All right, so Tracy, before I even ask you any of these questions here, let's go ahead and start off with the basic one that I gave literally everybody else but you. Like what are you into? Like what makes you worthy of being on our show? As far as the nerdy shit that you're into.
Well, I mean, for starters, I guess.
Don't worry, guys. She's seen Star Wars.
Okay, good.
All of that.
All
of that.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, I'm this weird kind of combination of like punk, nerd, goth. I don't know. I'm kind of.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. I wear a lot of hats, I guess.
So what's your main interest that you would categorize as being nerdy?
I'm really into like the sci-fi horror element of geek. I mean, I still like Dungeons and Dragons and video games and comic books and stuff, but I'm a total diehard horror sci-fi fan.
Do you like the Alien series then?
Oh yeah, that was actually one of the first horror movies that I ever watched.
My
dad
too.
Actually. Yeah, my dad let me watch it when I was like, oh God, when did it come out? It was like when it first came out.
I think the first one
was
was
like 79, honey.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was probably a toddler when I watched it.
Okay.
And I loved it. It didn't scare me, so.
See, that was probably not one of my first horror movies, but like as far as the sci-fi horror, like I'm a big creature horror fan.
So yeah.
So yeah, like Alien was like right up my alley, and I remember watching that late at night. I think they had like reruns on the Sci-Fi channel late at night of like sci-fi movies, and I watched the shit out of those movies, like all three of them before Resurrection came out and everything like that. Like I watched all of them all the time. Like they're still like some of my favorite movies of all time. But
oh yeah, and the special effects still hold up today really well.
I agree. So yeah, okay. So you like the horror and sci-fi, and I gather from our other discussions that you're big into cyberpunk too, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And you like board games? I mean, you kind of have to.
Oh hell yeah! It's an addiction. Yeah, it's an addiction.
And she's
cardboard crack.
And she's seen every episode of The Simpsons at least 4 times.
Holy shit!
More than 4. I fucking love The Simpsons.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah, I haven't even pulled that off.
I was saying, I can't even say that
I've seen every episode of Futurama probably 12 times.
Yeah, I can't even say that I've seen like an entire episode or entire season of Simpsons like all the way through. Like I've seen stuff from every season, but I don't. So I remember watching them on TV, but I was a kid, and who knows how long they were on before that. I couldn't tell you. So.
Oh yeah, I think they're on their 27th
season
now.
It's something crazy right now.
28th or 29th.
Oh yeah. I mean, I
coming
grew
up close to
on
30
when I was a kid. Yeah, and I will watch it as long as it's on the air. So.
Do you like the newer stuff? I haven't watched it in a long time. Probably.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in the past. Realistically, like past 10 years, if not more. So, yeah, I have no idea where they're at right now. But speaking of that, before I actually launch into the actual questions, the Treehouse of Horror ones that they do are absolutely brilliant. Yeah, I love it.
They are.
Okay, so question number 1 for you: what was it about geek or nerd culture that drew you to it? Like, what was the appeal?
Well, I came by naturally. My parents are kind of class geeks. And I was always that kind of weird, awkward, shy girl with anxiety. And I feel like when I was young, like I became cynical, I guess, at a young age. And I got the rose-colored glasses punched off my face early. So I liked having the world that I could escape into was this one. And I mean, we had like the Atari system, and my parents when I was younger, and so I started gaming early. I got into comic books. I used to religiously with my dad every night it was on for years, since they were showing the old reruns of Captain Kirk onto I think actually the last one we watched was the one with Janeway. I can't remember the name of that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've seen
Voyager.
Okay, I haven't seen Voyager yet.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and we watched stuff like Stargate, basically. So I feel like my dad's the one that got me into sci-fi.
Okay.
My mom's the one that got me into horror. I read it when I was in 3rd grade, and it terrified me. And I actually did a book report on Stephen King's It, and we also had to draw pictures of the characters in our book. So gave all the other 9-year-olds a clown phobia. because back then I could actually draw a really good portrait. So I had the realistic pictures to back up my book report, and yeah.
We got a lot of auto tune going on with you, so if I ask you to repeat something, don't be offended. I think I got the gist of all that. But basically, you drew a picture of it and terrified a whole new generation of people with it, right?
Yeah.
That's funny. You're responsible for so many people's clown phobias, I guess.
Yeah, I owe a lot of people some apologies for that one. The school counselor was very busy.
I don't get the whole clown phobia thing. I mean, I don't particularly care for them, but I never found them scary or anything. But it, on the other hand, is pretty terrifying. So, yeah. Okay, so the next one. Do you think you are any more or less nerdy than you were growing up?
I think more so.
Yeah.
Because I've, discovered like new, I guess, venues for my nerdiness, like the Society of Creative Anachronism and LARPing and cosplay and all that shit. So I think I am so much more nerdy now. Definitely
agree with you there. I think the more resources you have available to you and the more freedom you have available to explore that kind of stuff, it probably...
Yeah. And now that it's gotten more popular too, there's more of it out there.
Yep. And there's you get a lot of people coming out of the woodwork, or coming out of the nerd closet, so to speak. So
it's cool. It's cool to be a nerd now.
Yeah. It's almost. Do you ever feel that nerdy culture, like there's aspects of the people who are so used to it being so closed off to the rest of the world that feel uncomfortable with so many other people taking an interest to it? Like it's kind of like stealing their identity a little bit, having so many people.
Yeah, because I feel like it's the group of outsiders that were like the first nerds, and now that it's cool, like everybody wants to be a nerd. So it leaves the rest of the outsiders feeling kind of almost on the outside again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because they're
like in their own space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the popular nerds will still ostracize the actual nerds.
Yeah, because you've got like your cool nerds,
but then sometimes not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that it's out there now too, but
I think it's great because you got more people participating, and for me, like I'm still blown away when I talk to somebody I've never met before, just like out in public, and then like if you're kind of decent at holding a conversation, you can throw out like a little, I don't know what you call it, like a bait and hook, kind of like to see if the other person knows what the fuck you're talking about. And when they do, and when they do, and when you do, you're like, oh, you're one of us, So,
which I may have got us a new listener today at work.
Yeah, and I was you never know. You never know who out there is like hiding that part of them, and it's kind of sad. To think about it, because even now that it's more mainstream and cool, there's still people out there. Like, for instance, me, I still am very selective about who I let know that I play D&D. I am. I don't know, just because I have to like feel the room. Like I'm not really like
fully come out of the closet yet.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not really like ashamed of it, but like I kind of try and feel whether or not it's like appropriate for me to bring something up so counterculture, like I don't know. Sometimes there's not always a place for me to launch into it.
I was at work one day with like the entire IT department over at one of the other stores, room full of IT guys. Mm-hmm. And I started talking about geeky stuff, and they all looked at me and they're like, wow, you're a nerd, aren't you? I'm like, oh fuck.
The IT department calls you. Yeah.
Yeah, the IT department made fun of me for LARPing.
Let's be honest. Hold up. Let's be honest. They're probably in IT because they don't really have the physical ability to LARP.
Oh man.
So it kind of swings both ways there.
Yeah. Okay.
Just like my big foam sword.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So back to Tracy. Let's see, what are we on here? Do you have any unexplored nerdy interests, and what's stopping you from doing that, if anything?
Honestly, I'm ashamed to admit this, but I really like cosplay.
Yeah. Don't be ashamed to admit that. if I knew more people who would do it, who do it, I would be having them on our show to talk about it. But I don't really know anybody outside of Halloween that is really into it. You know?
Yeah, I don't know anybody either.
Easily find you some furries.
That's different.
Not that kind of cosplay. No.
Yeah.
But I really want to get into like special effects makeup, and it's something that when I was younger, and because I love to sculpt and paint, and I think I could actually probably do it. And now I kind of wish I would have gone into that instead of tattooing. Damn it.
Yeah, I hear ya. My fiance is really, really, really good with makeup, and I always, she's not. I mean, I don't know. She's nerdy in her own way, but she's not part of this club. This club of nerds. But but she likes the aspects. Like I always send her cosplay articles, or at least I post them so she can see them. And she's interested in that because a lot of them have like really cool makeup jobs. And
she watched Face Off.
Yeah, we watched Face Off with John Travolta and Nick Cage. No, is this a different? Am I thinking of? Is this a show or something?
No. There's a TV show about special effects makeup. It's like a reality competition show. Yeah,
I thought
not
you were
Travolta.
Yeah, I thought you were Nick Cage and Travolta. It's like, yeah, we do watch that, but yeah, like she could do it in a heartbeat. But yeah, she.
Well, and if you're an artsy person, I think you're naturally drawn to that anyway.
Yeah.
Because it is an art form, so.
Yeah, it is, and a lot of people like. I don't know. Like if you're just going to a convention, you're doing it for fun. That's a different level than someone who like takes like has high quality photos taken of them, and like it's a whole hobby in itself, even for people just like consuming it as like watching it or something like that. Like there's a guy that I follow. I'm probably gonna not get the whole name here, but like Maul cosplay, Maul. I forget the guy's name, but he does Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. He does he's most famous for Geralt of The Witcher. Like if they're having the TV show come out on Netflix, but like if he is that character. Like that's just the way he looks, and he does some other good stuff. I'll have to post some links later, but yeah. But I always Ben. You know what I'm talking about? What do you know the name of his page? Like MAUL.
Yeah, it's MAUL cosplay. Yeah.
Okay, all right, I got it then. I thought I was maybe missing the first part to it, but yeah, like that. Like his stuff is incredible. Like he looks the part. He spends a lot of time in a makeup chair. He's I don't know. He's a good looking dude, so he pulls off a lot of those macho characters well. Yeah, I don't know. Like I like stuff like that, and I like cosplay, and I'm a dude, so yeah, seeing all the girls in the skimpy outfits is cool too. But I like being able to appreciate the effort that they put in to actually look like the characters. Everyone who does it, like anytime an article comes up, I always click on it just to see how how people do it. And then then you got the whole aspect of like the gender bending and whatnot, but anyway, I'm off on a tangent here. But okay, so cosplaying for you or us?
Yeah, and I would love to start like either a dystopian or like a post-apocalyptic area. Like they have like the Wasteland Festival out in, like Las Vegas, I think. Like to have something of that. I think that would be awesome. It's just getting people that would be interested in that in this area.
Yeah, Well, and I think when it comes to like LARPing and stuff like that, I think there's a whole new level of, because not a lot of people are very comfortable having their nerdy interests known. And with LARPing, like you're out there in the open, like you are, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That's that's a part of it, like you kind of have to be socially adept in order to be fully comfortable in that kind of environment.
Yeah, but you have the historical reenactors, like the SCA and the people that do the Civil War reenactments, and they will talk to you about it for hours. Like, they don't care.
Oh yeah.
They let their nerdiness hang out.
Yep. Yeah,
like, come join us.
Yeah, definitely.
One of us.
They rock out with their muskets out.
They do.
Yeah. So the last question, I mean, what was the episode that you joined us on? That was it was the Sean Bean one with I forgot what our main topic was. Star Wars. Okay, that was not too long ago. Have you listened to any of our other shows?
I haven't.
Okay.
Sorry.
No. I'm just saying. I was just trying to see if this question applies to you or not. So yeah, I guess your favorite episodes would be one of the ones that you've been on, which has only been the last 3. That was, I think the Star Wars one was episode 9. So.
Yeah, and I was so nervous during that one too. Well, I'm nervous during all of them though, but I would have to say, as the participating aspect, I've really enjoyed this one so far. So
yeah, this one has definitely kind of broken our mold a little bit, just in that there's not a whole lot of there wasn't a whole lot of prep work and production behind setting this up this time around. So
it's more lax, and I actually looked at the questions beforehand and I did my homework and shit this time. So
oh, gotcha. Yep.
I was prepared.
All right then, Tucci, we're gonna go ahead and go to you then.
Alrighty.
So man, you've been around for nearly all of them. I think there was only one that you missed, right?
Yeah, I think there were 2 I've been gone for.
Okay. Well, yeah, okay, we'll get to that one. So first question for you, man. Same as the rest of them. What was it about nerdy or geek culture that really drew you to it?
I think it was just kind of like what Ethan said, actually. Is it just I was just kind of always around it from an early age. Like, I remember when I first got I had played Sega with my older brother before. So it was probably video games was my real like introduction to it. And it wasn't until I was a little bit older in my teens that I really started to kind of get into it. And now recently I've kind of dove even more into it. That's kind of, I guess, answering a later question. But yeah, I mean, in retrospect, like probably video games was my real pull towards the nerdy side of me.
Okay. What was your did you start off with like Nintendo, Super Nintendo? Oh, you said Sega?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Well, I had the it was for Christmas. I got the PlayStation 1 with Crash Bandicoot on it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So that was my first console.
Okay, I gotcha. But not your first console experience, just yours.
Correct.
In ownership wise, I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I loved that thing, man. That was so fun. Except learning that you have to have a memory card in order to store information. That was the big hurdle I had to get over. But then I think after that it was the N64. And I played all kinds of games.
You kids and your damn memory cards.
Fucking fight me, bro.
ColecoVision didn't have shit like that.
Oh man.
Anyways, but yeah, so I had all that. It was a lot of fun. Like I remember growing up, and probably my favorite, I guess, gaming console was likely the Xbox 360. I think when I had consoles, that was definitely my the big thing for me. And then like in 6th grade, I played on a PC for the first time, and that is the long history of the PC Master Race for me.
I was just about to say, I was like, now you have like you have your PS4, and I know the only reason you play it is because we begged you to come play games with us, and because
I basically stole my PS4 from my roommates, because like I just left it down at the TV for them to play, because like I never, like, someone owed me money and I was like, this dude's never gonna pay me back. And then he reached out to me, he's like, hey, do you want a PS4? I'm like, yeah, dude, just give me a PS4 and we'll call it Square. So
yeah.
Until you guys started talking about it, I never really played much.
Yeah, it's just kind of funny because I think Ethan's the only one out of us, the regular participants. I know there's a couple people who have been on the show and who lurk in our chats that have that game on PC too. But as far as the people who regularly appear on the show, I think Ethan's the only one who has somewhat kept up on PC, but he just doesn't have the internet to play online games. So
I don't have the internet to play online games, and honestly, I don't have a powerful enough PC anymore to play anything fun.
Yeah, and that's
I can't even play
at.
Fallout on what I have. So
yep. So I'm not really able to play many of the, or I should say any of the new games. I can play last gen stuff, like stuff from that came around about like the Xbox 360 and PS3 era, but beyond that, yeah, unfortunately, there's tons that I want to play, but I just can't right now. So next question: do you think you are any more or less nerdy than you were growing up?
Yeah, I would definitely say I'm way more nerdy. I've recently gotten, there was a phase where back after high school, I got into the money sink that is Magic the Gathering. And then I managed to pull myself out of that addiction with some help. But I was able to get out of that and went back to basically just video games for the majority of it. And then recently I've gotten into D&D and Pathfinder.
So you haven't really role played that much until recently?
Yeah, pretty much. When the Alternity deal that we did that one time was probably only my 3rd campaign I had ever really been in.
Really?
Damn, son.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you definitely
I played a narcissistic man whore. Basically, it was great. I still want to continue that campaign.
God, I don't even know what was happening with that.
We should fuck him up and bring him into some White Wolf games.
That's scary.
He's like, I don't even know what that is, but yeah.
I don't know what that is, but I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, you definitely have the concept
Probably
down
for the
because
best.
I couldn't tell. So, again, this is the fucked up question that everyone has to reword, but are there any nerdy interests that you know that you once had but are no longer interested in?
I would say Magic the Gathering is probably it. I still have some of my Magic the Gathering cards. I sold a lot of them, the like high valued ones, back when I was really broke and needed money quick. But I still have a few just for, pickup games if anyone ever wants to, throw down cards on a table or something. So, but it's not something I pursue anymore.
I tried it, didn't understand it, kept getting my ass kicked. It wasn't fun. So
it's hard, man.
We
it really
play a
is
lot
there.
more casually though.
Yeah.
So
well, I always played with people who knew the game inside and out, who knew like basically
competitive bastards.
Yeah, who basically were like the Rain Man of Magic the Gathering in our group, who would just be able to, as soon as you laid a card down, they knew basically how to ruin your day, regardless of what you did.
Yeah, it gets a little lame when you play with people like that.
Yeah, the first draft tournament I was in, I placed second.
Nice.
So, yeah, it was kind of a cool experience to do that, but I never really got into the whole like standard or modern or general or whatever it's called, just because those are like huge money sinks to buy the right cards.
Right.
So I kind of steered away from that. I wasn't really a huge fan of draft because you can get like really fucked really hard, depending on the polls and who you're playing with, because they may know.
We do drafts amongst our friends every so often. Like 3, 4, 5 of us, and we like to do drinking drafts.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine how you take a drink to that game. Oh my god!
Let's say that I totally freaking passed on a dual lands on my first draft one time.
Oh my!
Yeah, I fucked up.
Yeah, that was a big fuck up.
Don't
That's
drink
it.
Don't drink absinthe and draft. There's the difference.
Yeah, touche. Oh man. Yeah. So yeah, Magic would have to be the answer for that.
Okay. All right. And last question, same as everyone else. What was your favorite episode of season 1, from a listening standpoint and or participation?
It would probably bounce between a few of them actually. I really liked our first episode, even though I wasn't really into like the alien stuff. Probably ranked at 5. That probably isn't my favorite, but let's see here. Probably it's definitely a mix between the episode 4, which was Geek Your Heart Out, and when we had the D&D 5th edition rundown. Unexplained phenomena, and also the Tomorrow's End podcast. Honestly, the Tomorrow's End podcast is probably my favorite, but it's a very close first.
Okay. And is that as far as the ones that you've participated in or listening, or does that include both?
Well, for listening wise, I'd probably say the Tomorrow's End podcast, because I really like their podcast anyway.
Yeah.
For like participating in, I would probably have to say the Conspiracies one was pretty fun. But like kind of my overall favorite was just the D&D rundown.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna go on to Drew so he can get out of here and get ready to head into work. So Drew, what the first question? What was it about nerd or geek culture that drew you to it? What drew you to it, Drew?
I got kind of involved with the nerd and geek culture through the Boy Scouts of America.
I knew you were in those, but I
was in Scouts from like 4th grade all the way through high school. Like I did the full blown, got my Eagle Scout, all that bullshit. But on campouts, a group of the guys would play D&D, and like eventually I just started playing with them because I was intrigued and it was fun and there wasn't much else to do. So I got sucked into D&D, and then kind of flowered out from there.
Okay. So what would you say is your main nerdy interest?
I would say it'd probably be board games right now.
Yeah, I can see that. I would agree with that.
I have got a ass load of board games. I've got 5 or 6 right now that I haven't even played yet. I just bought them because they looked fun. So I mean, like I'm sitting on a plethora of board games. Not as many as Nick, but I feel like I'm probably a close second.
Awesome. Next question. Do you think you are any less or more or less nerdy than you were growing up?
I would say more, because back when I was younger, I was always trying to hide it because I like always wanted to be in the cool kid group, even though that never was going to happen. Like, and like I always wanted to be like the cool kids and like play sports and shit. And so like I did that, but then like on like the weekends I would go hang out with my like Boy Scout friends, and we would play D&D, and we'd go camping and like be nerds out in the woods and shit. Like like I always tried to hide my nerdiness from the school, and then kind of towards like the end of high school and stuff, I was just like, you know what, fuck it, this is who I am, it's who I'm gonna be. I'm just gonna embrace it.
I got you, man. And this comes the infamous question: do you have any nerdy interest? Wait, hold on. Do you have? I don't know why I still haven't changed this yet. Do you have? Was there any any nerdy interest that you used to, or that you? What the fuck? God damn it! Is there any nerdy interest that you are no longer interested in that you once were? I'll just read it. Jesus, that makes sense.
Yeah, no, there's not anything that like.
I mean, I'm a
used to
couple
be
beers
that I'm
into
not-
it.
Yeah, there's nothing that like I used to be into that I'm not into. I still play D&D. I still do board games. I still watch wrestling. I mean, I still do all the stuff I used to do then plus more. I mean, like now I post online about gaming and wrestling and stuff. Like I don't hide it. Like I said earlier, like I embrace it.
Yeah,
it's all in the open.
Good deal. I think we're all kind of in the same boat with that question. Do you have any unexplored nerdy interests, and what's stopping you from doing that, if anything?
I really wanted to get into like Warhammer.
The
Like,
tabletop miniature.
The tabletop
game?
miniatures and like because it looks awesome and it looks fun. Really, like the models are cool. It's neat looking, neat sounding, interesting to watch. But god damn, is it expensive?
There we go. That was it.
Like I went and like I was like, all right, well, like let me see how much it would be just to get started, and it was just like hundreds of dollars of models and books and painting and. Like I was just like, nope, cost prohibitive. I don't have time to paint models and shit. Like,
hey man, I hear you're interested in Warhammer. You ready to play? Yeah, cool. What do you got? I have this one Reaper.
It cost me $48.
That's all I could afford. Yeah. Can I play?
Like, I guess. Yeah, no, when I played that, I used everyone else's armies. I mean, everyone. It's definitely like the hobbyist of hobby type games, because not only are you spending a lot of money to get into it, but you have to put a lot of your time and effort into not only like it's almost like actually playing the game is secondary to the rest of it, because you're putting together the models, then you're painting them. Then you're worried about how you're going to transport them, and then it was always like when I played, it was always everyone spent like hours and hours talking about it and geeking over the way that they're what their process for painting their models, which was cool. And then the games would go, and that was almost kind of like everyone just kept talking about everything else, and the game was it was like I said, it was just secondary to it.
The game was there, but it wasn't there as the main focus.
Yeah. Which to each their own. That part,
right?
I mean, that was part of it to me, but I was, like I wasn't too. I don't think I had the attention span to sit there and paint models. Honestly, I don't.
Oh, dude.
To sit there and be like, I have 20 fucking troops that I have to paint the same, or before.
Oh, yeah, it's that, and it's like I don't have like the steady hands to paint a little fucking model like that.
Yeah.
Like, and then like I don't have the patience to put together like the little models like that. Like, I get pissed putting together Legos, and they're like 8 times as big. So I mean, like, I could imagine me trying to put together the models. Like, it just, wouldn't happen.
All right, man. Last question for you. What was your favorite episode of season 1, and from a listening standpoint and/or participation?
Well, participation would be the Sean Bean and Star Wars episode, because I basically came up with them, and it was kind of cool to be a part of the creation process.
Yeah, it was cool for me too, because I didn't have to do it. So,
and then I've really liked I've liked all of them. I've listened to all of them, the ones I've been on, the ones I haven't been on. I like listening to all of them, because I pick up things that I don't hear when we're recording.
Yeah,
because my phone likes to cut out on certain people talking and stuff, so I'll get blanks and then have to kind of try to fill them in when we're discussing without stopping the conversation.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I guess this is an additional question for both you and Tucci, because Ethan and Tracy don't listen to the show yet. So so Drew and Tucci, like, do you guys, when you listen to the show, do you are you ever surprised as far as what makes the cut? As far as between, you know, because you've been there for the recording and then you you hear the finished product, like, you ever surprised,
really,
like, where like half an hour of our conversation is just gone?
No, because I know a lot of it, like, we can't put all of it out, because then you end up with like 2.5, 3 hour episodes, and
yeah,
a lot of people don't have the attention span for that.
Yeah,
like I like long podcasts because I listen to them when I'm working, and I have like 6 hours of work to fill where I'm just, if I'm not listening to podcasts, I'm listening to the radio, and the radio plays the same songs like over and over and over.
Yeah.
So I mean, but no, I'm not really surprised, because I know some of it gets a little rated R and MA and like not appropriate for air.
Yeah, so
even with the explicit tag, it's like, whoa,
yeah,
dude, pump the fucking brakes.
So those of you listening, wondering,
I know a lot of that is me, because I am not PC. I say what's on my mind, and I say what I think is funny, and a lot of time you guys will just be like, wow, that's dark, that's bad, it's not good.
I appreciate it.
So like, I'm not really surprised when a lot of the stuff we say doesn't make it. Like, I totally understand.
No, honestly,
maybe
like,
season 2, now that we have people broken into how fucked up we are.
I was gonna say, no, the I guess the most, when it comes to us talking, I leave about like 98% of us talking in, but the most of the things that I edit out are like dead silence in between questions or people talking, or if there's a particularly bad section of you know, people auto-tuning out, or you know what I mean, like most of it, like, we're pretty good. Like, most of my editing job is pretty easy. I just have to, you know, I'll edit out like that, or like dead space, or you know,
there's the awkward silence.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, just
damn it, Drew, you need to try harder.
Just to keep the flow going.
All right, man. I'm gonna bring season 2. Be ready for Hitler and dead baby jokes.
All right. So yeah, man. I don't know if you have to take off here soon, but I still have my section to go through.
Yeah, I'll probably hang out for a couple of minutes, and then I might just drop out.
Okay, no problem. Tucci, are you back, man?
Yeah, my internet's acting pretty terrible. AT&T, get your shit together.
Yeah, A&T and T and P.
Yeah. A&T and T. All right. Well, I guess that really leaves me, because I'm going to be editing in Nick's in here, and whatever the hell happened to Lauren. I mean, she said she was going to be late, but she's, yeah, I don't know.
She's real late.
Yeah.
She's MIA.
I was just joking about her not showing up, but that seems to be the case. So we might add her in later too. So, yeah. But yeah, as far as me, let's see here. I'll ask myself the questions. What was it about nerd or geek culture that drew me to it? Really, it was the use of imagination for most of it. Like, I had always been into pretending when I was a kid, and I had always been drawn to like medieval type stuff, like swords especially. So maybe it was just just a fascination with violence, I guess. But and I was, you know, I would say that I was actually interested in D&D before I knew what D&D was. Like, I remember when I was going into 7th grade, I moved up here to Michigan from Indiana, and I met one of my friends on here, or who hasn't been on the show yet, but he's in our group. But met him, and we both started kind of realizing we had the same interests, even though they weren't really developed yet, and we both basically started creating a game that we thought, basically we started creating D&D without knowing what D&D was. So we, literally we made a system. I think we used like playing cards to randomly generate numbers. Yeah, it was weird. It was weird how it came about without actually knowing that was a thing. And then he ended up having a cousin who introduced him to D&D. Then he brought it to me, and I was like, we've been trying to figure this shit out for like a year now, and here's this whole game that we can play. So, but before that, it was video games. I think my first one or console that I owned was a Sega. But before that, I had grown up playing Nintendo, and then a Super Nintendo and Sega were kind of around the same era. And I had a Sega, and my best friend down the street had a Super Nintendo. So between the two of them, I got a pretty well-rounded video game education. But overall, it was the use of imagination, and everyone's kind of really mentioned it, but the escape of it all. That has really been what has carried over into my adult life that still draws me into that, is the mental escape of it all. So I'll answer the next question. Am I any less or more or less nerdy than I was growing up? In certain aspects, more. I mean, I've definitely dropped some habits and interests and picked up others. So overall, more. I think that's kind of anybody who's on this show. I think they get more nerdy as they grow up. So that's me too.
With every passing minute.
Every minute. So yeah, there's not really more I can say to that hasn't already been said by everybody else. So I'll just say ditto. Is there any nerdy interest that I'm no longer interested in that I once was? That's a tough one, really. I used to be really big into anime, but I'm not now. I still have the interest, but not anywhere near what it was back when I first got into it. And I don't really know why that is, honestly, because I'm still drawn to it. It still interests me, but it's just something that I just kind of stopped doing or stopped watching. Let's see here. Do I have any unexplored nerdy interests, and what's stopping me, if anything? Yeah, I'll echo what Ron said. LARPing. That's the biggest one for me. I love role-playing, like around a table with people and everything, but I actually did play sports growing up, like even as a kid, and then through I played soccer from first grade all the way till after I graduated high school for a couple years. And then I played football, basketball, and baseball with the kids that I grew up with in Indiana when we were like young kids. So I did that. So soccer
aren't you just an energetic bastard?
Yeah, well, yeah. And so I've always I've been missing like a physical activity component to my nerdiness and LARPing.
So now I assume when you're saying LARP, you mean like foam swords and armor LARP?
Yeah, for the most part.
Not like White Wolf LARP?
What do you mean by that? Like more like, do they just do like the societal LARP, like just the interactions?
It's a lot of political role-playing and crap, like White Wolf would be.
Yeah, I'd probably get into that too, but it wouldn't be quite what I was looking for. Like, I want to fight,
Right, you want full-blown battle.
Yeah, and I like to fully like immerse myself in the experience. So the reason why I lean more towards LARP as opposed to SCA fighting is the competition aspect of it. I'm not necessarily interested in actually winning a fight, as more the feeling that I get while I'm in it. So I feel like LARP fighting is more based around the atmosphere than SCA, where you're actually fighting. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I would be into that too, but you know, like I said, my big draw to nerdy shit is the imagination, the imaginative part that comes with it.
Well, yeah, because like in LARP, I think when you get hit, you actually, it's like closer to D&D because you take points of damage.
Yeah.
Rather than you got hit in the arm, you lose an arm.
Yep, and then there's a couple different things that I've actually explored that are kind of, you know, there's the full blown, like when people think of LARP, they think of you have a character sheet and you're just like acting out your actions, you know, like you have armor points and you have hit points and mana and you're shouting, you know, thunderbolt over and over and over again, or lightning bolt over and over again while
lightning bolt.
Yeah,
lightning
exactly.
Bolt.
While you throw beanbags at people, like I would definitely be down to do that too. But
dude, one of the ones I participated in for a short bit, they actually made you recite spells.
Yeah.
Like if you wanted to cast lightning bolt or something before you could throw your object, the higher the level, the more words you had to add to your spell, which is what they used to, you know, make it slower, harder to cast, basically.
So not so spammy.
Yeah, so you weren't like lightning bolt, you'd have to be like Blargen, Margan, Flargen, be Dargan. Now I can throw.
Yeah. See, like I would be down for that too, but then even certain parts of that I would probably get bored with a little bit, just because, you know, like if I'm going to be going off of a character sheet and all that, I might as well be playing around a table and, you know, reading my sheet the whole time. But I and Ron and I actually did go to, actually wait, I think Ron and I talked about it, but I actually did go to a group in Grand Rapids, which for those of you listening outside of Michigan, it's a big city on the western coast of Michigan. It's well, I was trying the group the system that they used was called Dagger Hair, I think is how you pronounce
Dagger
it.
Hair.
Yep. And that one is
Dagger Hair and Belgarath.
Yeah.
Can't remember.
Yep. And that one is
Tolkien-based LARP.
Yeah, that one was very, very combat focused, and it was but it was foam weaponry, but you beat the shit out of each other with it. And
yeah,
like that part was fun too, but you know, it was missing the and you dressed up too, so that was part of it. But I remember accidentally, God forbid, saying LARP in front of them, and they all kind of like shunned me for they all shunned me for the next 10 minutes while we hit each other with foam swords and, you know, whatnot. But yeah, it was just missing that component that I'm looking for. So somewhere in between the foam combat and the you know, the character sheet based.
There is
LARPing.
one in Muskegon called Final Haven.
Yeah, there's one based in Grand Haven that two of the people that I would like to bring on the show, I think, are part of, and I think it's out of Grand Haven. I'm not sure, but yeah, that will be part of season 2. So, but yeah, that's the one unexplored interest that I would love to have done, because I actually, along close to those lines, is I played Airsoft, and I played Airsoft for years. But
Airsoft fun.
It is very fun, and you know, by that I'm not talking about the little clear plastic, you know, guns that you buy at Walmart, even though some people showed up to games with them. No, this was like full on military simulation.
Yeah, for sure.
Decked out. Like I spent way too much money. Like I literally sold my gear in order to be able to pay for our, you know, our first and last month's rent to get into the house that we're in right now. So, but you know, I miss it now that things have settled down and, you know, I'm in a good place. But yeah, like that was the closest I've come to LARPing, because everyone was decked out in full military gear. You know, you had that fear and anxiety of getting shot at, but not worrying about actually dying from it. But
see,
you know.
Now, and like Tracy said, we're interested in starting like a post-apocalyptic LARP, like Mad Max or Fallout.
Yeah.
But also, I always wanted to do a cyberpunk LARP.
Yeah, see,
which I think would incorporate some of what you just said there with the airsoft, but still give you a role-playing element too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it all depends because I ran an airsoft group that we kind of all just, we were like a team together, and Ron was a part of it. If he was here, I'd ask him to comment. But we would go to all the big, they call them MilSims, military simulations. We would go there, and they would, we would just have a fucking blast. And but then we also ran our own separate games to kind of, they were quote unquote practice. But we did one around Halloween time that was actually a zombie survival. And what
nice.
It ended up working out pretty well. We just didn't have enough people to do it at the level that I would have liked to, that I had basically had in my head. But yeah, we hid varying levels of the airsoft guns around this huge ass property, and we played at night, and we hid guns and flashlights and magazines filled with the ammo, and extra ammo we just hit it, and then we'd have one group go through at a time. It was almost like a haunted house, but we just did that, and it was an absolute blast. But yeah, I miss doing something like that involved a physical aspect and using your imagination to fill in the gaps. So that's where LARPing has come in for me, as far as still being a big interest. The only other thing that keeps me from doing it is that I feel silly. Unfortunately.
Aww.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't quite feel like something that I would reveal to just anyone. Obviously with you guys, it's
don't want IT guys to make fun of you.
Yeah, I'm not really too worried about what people think. It's just more of, I'm a relatively new dad. I got, somewhat of a career, the very beginning stages of working towards it. I don't know. It feels a little bit outside of the realm of what I should be focusing on, but at the same time, the whole point is to escape all that shit every once in a while. So yeah, I don't know. Fuck it. But, yeah, but, so, okay. Yeah. Last question here. What's my favorite episode of season 1? From listening and participating. Well, obviously I have participated in every single one. So I have loved doing all of them. My favorite one, I think my favorite episode out of our entire show so far has been the conspiracy episode. Mainly because on my end, I got to change the background music, and I got to, because a lot of the talk shows that I listened to, before I started fortunately getting into politics, but a lot of the talk shows that I listened to were of that realm. They were all like Coast to Coast AM and Art Bell stuff. They all talked about unexplained phenomena, and they just talked about it like they were ideas. Some of the guests they had on wholeheartedly believed in what they were talking about and everything, but all the shows were presented as we're having a discussion, and we're gonna, this is a good exercise of the mind, and if you believe it, all the power to you. But they never pushed it down your throat, and that's what I liked. We kind of do a lot of that stuff a little tongue in cheek, but I always had dreams of doing a show like that, and being able to do an episode here or there is enough to scratch that itch for me. So that would be my favorite one. All right, I have no idea where we're gonna fit this in quite yet, but this is Nick. We're gonna ask him the same questions we asked everybody else. So I guess I'll just get right into it, man.
Sounds good.
Question number 1: what was it about nerd or geek culture that drew you into it?
It's a really good question, actually. I think from an early age, I was always really big into art, and I think art really played a big role into it. Like, who is it? Frank Frazetta. I don't know if you know any of his work.
That sounds so familiar. I would...
look up his work and then you'll recognize him instantly. But like his work and a lot of like, if we dive into like anime, I've always really been big into that art style. So I think the art really reeled me in from the get-go. And I think that's always been a big driving factor for me. So,
okay, if you were to like pick like one interest above the rest of them that really kind of made you take off in the whole pursuit of nerdiness, would it be anime or was there something else?
Yeah,
anime.
I'd have to go with anime. Yeah, definitely. Okay. I mean, between that and like, I don't know. I'm a big high fantasy fan too, but like anime, fantasy, and sci-fi. I don't know. Like, if I had to choose between like those three, I'd probably still stick with anime.
Okay, gotcha. Next question: do you think you are any more or less nerdy now than you were growing up?
I think I'm more nerdy now.
Yeah.
And I think that has a lot to do with resources available to me now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you would agree with this or not, but like as a kid, you know, you don't really have money to spend on, you know, cosplay stuff. You don't really have money to spend to go to Comic-Cons. You know, now that I'm an adult and I have a job, I can actually like go out to these things and buy the things that I want and partake in the nerd culture that I enjoy. So I don't know. I think the older I get, the nerdier and nerdier, the more it appeals to me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely. And I had. This is going to be funny because this whole segment right here is recorded separately. But this question that I have here, I still have not reworded it. So it's going to sound confusing to me, but is there any nerdy interest that you are no longer interested in that you once were?
Okay, so
did that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there something that is nerdy that I liked at one point in time that I don't now?
Yeah.
I might catch him shit for this, but like we used to LARP. I mean,
yeah,
it wasn't like full-fledged LARPing, but like I'm not super into it now. So
that's kind of funny because I think that there's another question here, but most of us, yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to the next part, but yeah, LARPing, you're alone in that one, but it was yeah you'll hear it.
That's okay.
That's all right. Okay, so LARPing, not into it. Okay, next question is, do you have any unexplored nerdy interests? And if you do, what's stopping you from pursuing them, if anything?
Unexplored nerdy interests.
Something that you've always wanted to get into, but you haven't for whatever reason or another.
I think a lot of that has to do with on the internet and a lot of like web design, and I do want to get into like 3D printing. That's something I haven't done yet. I don't know if that would be classified as nerdy.
Yeah,
but
well, yeah, definitely.
Okay, that is something that like Chris is big into and Ethan's big into, and that's something that I think is really, really cool. It's something I really like to do, but I haven't pursued it yet.
Okay.
And I think that just, again, I think that comes down to finances.
Yeah.
Because 3D printing and stuff like that is pretty expensive. But, and then my friend back home, his name's Mitch. He's big into like drones and how they work and all that. That's another big one that I'd really like to get into.
Okay. So I'm gathering you'd like to be able to both afford and get into more technological type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like the tech side of the nerd world.
Yeah. I gotcha. Yeah, there's so many other things that I would love. love to own and be able to mess around with. But yeah,
same. Like a lot of it's tech stuff for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, the drone stuff would be really fun to just play around with.
Dude, have you ever seen the drone racing that they do, where they have like the obstacle courses set up like in old warehouses, and they're like giant glowing rings that they have to fly through?
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Like, it's really cool. Yeah, and then like I just have so many ideas that I have for like 3D printing that it's like nonstop. So
yeah,
that's another one I think would be more realistic to pursue.
Yeah. Well, we're actually going to be doing a show on it sometime during the next season.
Cool.
I don't know if you caught that, but there's a guy who owns or runs a 3D printing store in Muskegon that is we kind of secured an interview with him at some point, so
that's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, this was the question where everyone was like, I wish I could LARP. So it's funny that you went the opposite way.
Yeah, I feel the opposite of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It had its appeal like when we were younger, and then it just kind of, I don't know.
No, I hear ya. It's its own new level of nerdiness. So
yeah, it's like nerdy underground.
Yeah, you have to be like really comfortable in your nerdiness to.
It's like where you go down one of those back alleys with the neon lights and you don't talk about it, like LARPing.
Yeah. Okay, man. So last question here. What was your favorite episode of the first season, both from a listening standpoint and or participation standpoint?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think really any episodes where we did the verses, because I think including that into the show was just brilliant. Verses is a lot of fun. I think we need to do more of that. I really liked the Halloween episode when we talked about Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Yeah, I really liked that one a lot. Just because Stranger Things, like we all watched it together, and that was a really good episode.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple different episodes, I think.
Yeah. And then there was like one other. I can't remember what the other one was, but yeah, I think the biggest one was the Halloween episode. I really liked a lot. And then we talked about I think it was just like the last episode or the episode before that, where which old movies would you reboot?
Oh yeah,
I think we could expand on that, and I think that was just a lot lot of fun. And it's funny, so
it was funny for you guys. Yeah, I'd say I got roasted.
Yeah, we're giving you a lot of shit. Yeah, the next episode is the roast of Wes.
Yeah, exactly. Oh well, all right, man. I know you gotta get running, so that's about all I got for you. I'll be plugging this into the episode somewhere. So those of you listening, this one's gonna sound a little out of place, but it wouldn't be our show without Nick here to contribute somehow. Right. So it's all right, man. Thanks a lot. We'll see you later. All right.
Cool. All right. Talk to you later.
Yep. Bye. So I guess, yeah, we'll go ahead and wrap this show up, and we've gone on a lot longer than we normally do, but that's okay. This is our season finale. So things to look forward in season 2. Pretty much all the things that we said that we were going to have in season 2 and during this show, we're going to try to have. As a quick note and a very important note, if you pay attention to anything, pay attention to this, and if you want to keep listening to our show, we are taking a little bit of an extended break in between this episode and the start of season 2. It's only going to be one extra week, so don't worry. But we're taking a little bit of an extended break because we are going to be working on, finishing our intended infrastructure of the show. And what I mean by that is we're going to be working on our website, on our advertising on Facebook and Twitter and everything like that. We're going to be unveiling some contests and hopefully some prizes that we can give away. and we're going to try and implement some more live streaming, whether that be to Facebook, Twitch, or now we got D-Live available to us with the Steam Network. Yeah. So maybe a little bit of everything, and yeah, so that's going to be what we're going to hopefully try and bring to you guys with Season 2. We're going to change things up a bit, maybe a little bit different show formats, and I'm going to, as a editor's note, I'm going to be changing some of the music that is playing during most of our episodes, so it doesn't get too old.
Switching to polka.
Switching to polka. Yeah, nothing nerdier than polka music. Yeah. So I don't know. That's really about all I have left to say about this episode. I do have to say, as a personal note, it has been so much fun to be able to not only have everyone on the show, actively wanting to take part in building everything, but also to all of you listening. Like, we don't get a whole lot of feedback, but the feedback we do receive is very much appreciated. And as a note, if you have any suggestions or anything like that, feel free to send us an email. And God, I think it's tbdpodcast727@gmail.com. I almost had to look that up again. So yeah, and additionally, as another note, we are really hurting for having any. We have one review on iTunes right now, and we could definitely, if you would like to help us out, get noticed, obviously share our stuff, but if you can leave us a review on iTunes, that'll help us get noticed on there as well. Even if it's a bad review, I don't care. Just post something.
Give us something, damn it.
Yeah, give us some feedback. We're pretty. A lot of us are pretty tuned into what we think people want. So if that's completely different than what we're thinking, we're going to adjust accordingly. So yeah. Oh, and
also share us with your friends.
Yes, definitely. Let's see here. I guess the last thing that we're going to try and roll out is ways for us to monetize our show, which means we're going to be having a Patreon campaign going. That's probably going to be the main one there, and then whatever else we can think of. So look forward to that. But we are looking to give back to you guys. We have some ideas as far as contests and prizes and everything like that. Something to get some more interaction between those of you who listen and those of us on the show, because the few interactions we've had with people have been great, and we've loved it, and we want some more of it. So with that, anybody else have anything to add before we wrap up?
I like being the little spoon.
All right. Well, thanks,
Sounds
guys.
like something to go out on.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, guys, and thanks for making it this long. This one's going to be an extra long episode, but if you made it this far, then we appreciate it even more. So we will see you in 3 weeks. Let me find the date here. April 14th. So 4/14, April 14th is when the first episode of Season 2 will start. As of now, we haven't decided what that will be, so there probably won't be an announcement after this episode, so it'll be a surprise.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah. So until then, guys, thanks again, and we hope that you enjoy the couple weeks listening break from us,
But we'll see you next season.
All right. Have a good night.